Today I want to talk to you about picking a car. Now you've already gone out to the races, you've gotten involved, you've picked a form of racing you want to get into. What do you do next? How do you pick a car? First, figure out what sanctioning body governs your type of racing. Read the rulebook cover to cover. I can't stress this enough. The rules are going to be very specific on the types of cars that are allowed, modifications that are allowed, everything. Safety equipment, everything you can think about. So keep referring to those rule books and make sure you really understand them. So what type of car do you want? If it's a spec class, you may not have a lot of options. You may be stuck in a particular type of car. If it's a more open class, the sky could be the limit. So what are some things to consider when you're picking your car? First and foremost, cost. Cost is going to be huge. There's the cost of the car up front, cost to build the car, cost of performance parts, cost for repairs. So make sure you look into that, get a feel for what all that entails, and make sure that you still got plenty of budget to get out and race, because the racing's really what it's all about. You'd way rather be in a cheap car that you're out racing all the time and having fun than have a really awesome car that you can't even afford to race. Next, parts availability, especially performance parts. If you know you're going to be upgrading something like the suspension, see if there's something that bolts directly onto your car and works right out of the box, or if it's something you're going to have to do some custom fabrication to make it work, and if that's a big deal to you. So weigh those options and make sure you understand how hard it is going to be to build your car. Next, reliability. Look at what other people are racing. If there's cars out there that are just driving every weekend and never seem to have any problems, those might be really good cars to start with. Other cars, even if they might be a little quicker, if they're breaking down all the time, that might be a pain in the butt, might take you out of races, so you might want to stay away from cars that aren't particularly reliable. Next is drivability and performance. And this sometimes is a balancing act. A car that's really drivable may not be the very top of the line fastest car, where that top of the line fastest car may be difficult to drive, and you may have to have special skill sets to be able to actually push it to that level. So especially when you're getting started, try and find a car that's easy to drive, easy to set up, and just easy for you to build your skill set up. And then once you get your skill set up, then in the future, look at upgrading and getting that last little bit of performance out of it. Okay, so now you've picked the type of car you want to buy or build. What do? Do you buy it or do you build it? So a couple things to consider. If you're going to buy a car, great way to get started, because one, it's cheaper. Half to a quarter of the cost easily. Next, you can start racing tomorrow. You can start practicing tomorrow. You can just get in it, go drive, get a feel for it, and hopefully there's not a lot you have to do to it to get it set up for your preferences. But there are a couple things you have to look for if you do buy a car. One, sometimes you're inheriting other people's problems. It may have a weird electrical glitch. You may have to wiggle a wire every now and then or do a special startup procedure. Make sure you ask the guy very specifically what issues the car may or may not have. Second, it may be set up really funny because somebody built it. It's set up exactly the way they wanted it, and it may or may not be the way you want it. Best recommendation is do the best you can to get out and really test the car, preferably on the track or on the off-road park if it's a rally car, and drive it in the environment you're going to race it. The person selling it may be a little bit reluctant to let you do this. Even if you have to pitch them a few dollars, few $100s, it's totally worth it up front to get a feel for the car and make sure you're not buying something that's going to be super uncomfortable for you. Now the other side is you can build your own car. Building is awesome. You get to do lots of cool projects. You get to do the research to pick all the parts, make sure everything's just the way you want it. When you're setting up the seats and the controls and everything, you put it exactly where you want it. And when you're done, you've got the car that's just right for you. The downside is you're paying for parts brand new and you're paying for brand new prices. The other downside is it takes a lot of time. And depending on how much time in the day you have available, how late into the night you're willing to work, this could take anywhere from a month to a year just to get your initial build. So make sure you consider that if you're thinking of building your own car. But if you build your own car, lots of custom stuff you can do. You can pick cars that aren't normally used and have a really neat car out of the track. There's lots of advantages to building your own car. So if you're handy, it's something you want to do, I encourage you to do it. If you just want to get out and race tomorrow, then definitely buying's the way to go. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, as always, email me at 4racerdave@gmail.com, and I'll see you at the races.